Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Today we're going to be covering one of my favorite superheroes, the Winter Soldier. We gave you a brief history overview of him with the Know Your Universe, and this is going to be the first two issues of the Winter Soldier run that came out a little while ago, meaning the events that happen in this are not currently happening, but they did happen a while ago. So if you like this, give this video a like after you watch it and subscribe to the channel so that way we know you want more Winter Soldier. In the Red King Casino, Bucky thinks to himself of an old theory he once heard during the Cold War. That one agent in the right place at the right time with the right skills could be more effective than an entire army. While Bucky thinks of a time long ago, he and Natasha Romanoff begin to make their way down into the lower levels of the casino. As the two fight their way through, Bucky takes a moment to watch Natasha at work. She moves with such grace, jumping from one person to the next, weaving in and out of the enemy's crosshairs. So brutally effective. After taking down the armed guards, Bucky and Natasha reach their objective, a Project Zephyr stasis tube. However, the problem is that it's already empty, which means someone has already woken up one of the sleepers. Later, as the two agents head home, Bucky flips through the news channel watching for reports about him and his life. The world believes that James Bucky Barnes is dead and he died a war hero. Or at least that's what they were told. Only a select few know the truth, and that is Bucky is very much alive to this day. Natasha grabs the remote, turning the TV off, asking if he's really gonna sit there and watch that garbage. Bucky asks her, what's up with her? Ever since they found that stasis tube, she's been acting all tense. She sighs, stating that it's just like the tube they put him in. She once saw him in one of those tubes and it scared the hell out of her. Bucky laughs, telling her that he thought nothing could scare her. Natasha says, yeah, that's what she thought too. He tries to make light of the situation, but the truth is he's twice as tense as Natasha. That mission brought back nothing but bad memories. Flashbacks to frozen moments in time, back when he was Soviet's secret weapon. He would train other soldiers to kill with precision and skill, to walk and talk like an average American. Then he can see them. The three sleeper agents in the tubes, just like he was, getting ready to be shipped to America, where they would lay in wait, ready to be awakened at a moment's notice. But the war ended, and just like he was, the three sleeper agents were forgotten, left in the cold. That is until the ex-KGB general, going by the codename Red Barbarian, sold their activation codes and locations on the black market. Later that night, Jasper Sitwell, Bucky and Natasha's intel contact, contacts the two of them to go over the situation thus far. The man they think is the sleeper agent's handler is Nick Stanton, also known as Nico Stantovich. Nico was last seen entering the casino 2 days ago, and he's been living undercover as Stanton since the early 80s. Married, great job, 2 kids on honors, just quietly living the American dream. That was until this morning when he got a phone call. After which he killed his whole family, burned the files in his office, and drove straight to the casino to extract the sleeper. Currently, they're working on facial recognition to try and locate Nico. So until then, they have another lead for them to follow up on. The next day in a rainy Minnesota, Bucky and Natasha keep an eye on their next target, Mickey Bonneret, or rather, Miguel Bogokov, another KGB agent from the same Spetsnaz group as Nico. Mikhail works through the rain, piling up stacks of files in his truck when Natasha calls out to him, stating that it looks like he's getting ready to go somewhere. Without saying a word, he grabs his gun and he opens fire and he starts to run away, but before he can get far, he runs into Bucky Barnes. Bucky picks him up by the throat and Mikhail shouts, "You can't be alive! You're supposed to be dead!" And Bucky tells him, the best thing about being dead is you can do anything you want. Mikhail gives what little information he has, which isn't much. He was originally sent to monitor over Project Zephyr sleepers. He wasn't sure who the buyers were, but he was just happy enough to be out of their reach. At least he knows where the location of the next sleeper is. So the two head out to the facility they think to be the location, and as Bucky scans the area, he says the group inside is called a Raid, which used to be a part of AIM. Natasha asks if he thinks that Raid could be the buyers, and Bucky says no, he's beginning to think that they're just Plan B. The two start to make their way into the facility, but before long, one of the guards Natasha takes down manages to send out a call for help. Within seconds, more armed guards show up and begin to open fire on the two of them. Bucky and Natasha fight their way out, taking out as many guards as they can, and just as they get outside, they hear a deep voice shouting in Russian, "Death to America." Bucky looks up to see a giant gorilla with a machine gun firing at them, and it's at this moment that Bucky realizes that they have no idea what they are up against here. Meanwhile, in New York, Professor Ivan Kragov, the ex-Soviet super scientist Red Ghost, pours himself a glass of wine, stating that he hasn't heard from the second extraction team yet. Madame Lucia von Bardas, the cyborg that was Latveria's ex-prime minister, says that she has waited long enough to get her revenge. She just hopes that these sleeper agents are as effective as he says that they are. At that moment across town in front of the Latverian embassy, Victor Von Doom steps out as a man aims his crosshairs on him. The man pulls the trigger, firing off an RPG, and it hits directly into the center of the embassy. Back in Minnesota, Bucky tells Natasha that he'll take on the gorilla. She needs to get to the rooftop and clear a path for them. He runs out from cover, throwing a smoke grenade at the gorilla, firing through the smoke to draw its attention. While Natasha starts to clear the men off of the roof, the gorilla roars and charges through the smoke, cracking Bucky across the face. His body is thrown into a nearby building, but rather than getting out, he waits for the gorilla to get closer so that he can fire and land a direct hit. But the gorilla doesn't come, and instead it hits the switch and begins to rocket off into the sky. Bucky gets up asking, "Am I crazy or did I just see a gorilla use a jetpack?" Natasha tells him that he did, and Bucky says that this is officially the worst mission I've ever been on. Later at Sitwell's Situation Room, Sitwell goes over the intel of what happened earlier in Manhattan. Someone made an attempt on Victor Von Doom's life right in front of the embassy, and just as everyone would expect, Victor Von Doom is not happy. There's no information on the assault, but there is a single image from a security camera across the street. It shows the shooter who infiltrated and executed and was nearly unseen, but hopefully their face means something. Bucky looks at it and says, yeah, he's one of them. His name is Arcady. He's a supreme bastard. At the moment of seeing Arcady's face, more of the missing pieces begin to fall into place. The three men chosen for the Zephyr procedure: Arcady, the vicious Spetsnaz killer; Leo, the KGB born and raised; and then Dmitri, the loyal soldier for his country. Sitwell says, okay, so we have a semi-intelligent gorilla, raid on payroll, and our first sleeper agent is trying to sanction Dr. Doom on US soil. How does all this add up? Bucky says, well, there's one person that comes to mind regarding the ape. And Natasha asks, Red Ghost? Bucky goes on telling her, yeah, I should have thought of it earlier. Kragoff consulted on Project Zephyr. Sitwell says, okay, that's a lead. But why would Ivan Kragoff want to kill Dr. Doom? Natasha tells him that if anyone knows Doom well enough to want him dead, they would know an RPG would just make him angry, so what was the intent? Bucky says it was an inciting incident instead of murder, and that would make sense. The next night in Chicago, Bucky and Natasha go undercover to follow up on a lead provided by Nick Fury. The Bad Juju Acquisitions Group is known for selling black market tech, and with any luck, they'll find out who bought the codes for the sleeper agents. Just as the auctioneer begins to bring out the next item for sale, Bucky gets up stating that he can't take this anymore, and he pulls out his gun firing, telling everyone not to move. Of course, he didn't expect that to work, which is fine. There's only one person here that they're after, and that's the auctioneer himself. Just as the auctioneer begins to escape, his bodyguard jumps in the way of Bucky, swinging an electrified baton. Bucky kicks the bodyguard's feet out from underneath him, taking the baton and shocks him with it. Up ahead, the auctioneer runs out the door into the rain. Bucky throws the baton, electrocuting the puddle, which obviously stops the man. Bucky picks up the auctioneer, telling him not to pass out just yet. I got questions for you. A month ago, you sold activation codes for 3 Soviet sleeper agents. Who's the buyer? The auctioneer says that they don't take names. It was an old man, some scientist type, Russian accent. And Bucky tells him that that's not anything new. Who's he with? And the auctioneer shouts that he wasn't with anyone. He just figured that he had some kind of grudge against Latveria, considering what else they bid on. Elsewhere, as Lucia looks up from something in the shadows, Arcady says that he doesn't understand. What is that? She says that she guesses that he wouldn't know about these, but Victor Von Doom didn't come into power until after he was sleeping. But trust her, once they get this Doombot activated, then things are going to get really interesting. And there you have it, the first 2 issues in a cliffhanger for Winter Soldier. Let me know what you think about Winter Soldier. Personally, for me, he's one of my favorite Marvel superheroes. He's basically Red Hood if Red Hood was like an authorized assassin, which is really cool. He's got a robot arm, which as Spider-Man says in the Civil War, that's really cool. I mean, don't you agree with that? I like Spider-Man, don't you? How did I turn Winter Soldier into a Spider-Man discussion? That's the magic of the Benny Brain. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Comicstorian, Instagram at Comicstorian, and our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you get 6 different podcasts every other week.